your own like demiurge prison. Bonjour.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Sorry that we're doing it on Saturday this week. Jake is traveling tomorrow.
I am indeed.
He's going to be leaving me behind for a week.
Off to Amsterdam for ADE.
Yeah.
With work. ADE is an Amsterdam dance event, which is kind of like a big, I think it's a festival, but I think it's also kind of like a trade show, which is why I'm obviously there for work. But it should be fun. I should meet some interesting people. I love Amsterdam, so
are you going to get to go to any of the parties?
Yeah,
that's the most important.
I should be able to. I should be able to go to a few parties. It should be pretty cool.
I'm jealous. I have to stay here and like write and be a fucking writer bitch slave. Angie GPT fucking bullshit.
Well, yeah, you've got a book to churn out, haven't you?
Yeah,
so
well, you're like
it.
in Amsterdam smoking weed, drinking chocomel.
Well, there's going to be less of that. There's going to be less weed smoking and chocomel drinking than I've ever done in Amsterdam and on a trip ever. Normally, that's all I'm doing.
Yeah, pretty much.
But
and hunting for Pineapple Express as well.
Yeah, there's going to be no hunt. Well, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to have evenings to myself, I'm imagining, after dinner. So I could go to a party or I could hunt for Pineapple Express.
That's what pisses me off every time we go to Amsterdam together, is that you always interrupt the trip. Like, I'll be stoned in a cafe just like enjoying myself, and then Jake's like, oh my god, I found another cafe that's like 10 miles away that has Pineapple Express. Let's walk all the way there.
It's not 10 miles away. It's always like a 15-minute walk. Because
well, regardless,
Amsterdam
it's like I'm
so
chill.
well fucking planned.
Yeah, it's pretty well planned.
It's always like a 15-minute walk.
Yeah, you never have to walk anywhere more than 15 minutes, which is nice.
And it gives purpose to your like stoned adventure going through all these coffee shops. Because otherwise, it's all just a bit random and meaningless. Do you know what I mean?
Not to me. It's just like nice to just kind of walk around and let chance and fate take you to all these different places.
We kind of did that the first time.
Amsterdam's the kind of city where you can do that because it's so well planned, you know?
You can, but not I would say with coffee shops. I would say that like if you end up like, looking and just walking around the streets, you'll get suckered into like all the tourist trap kind of coffee shops.
Yeah, true.
Whereas if you kind of end up looking for something very specific, you'll end up encountering all sorts of random stuff that you just like wouldn't expect, or just like little holes in the wall and like stuff like that.
True.
And it's kind of like Rando Nautica. It's like it's your own Rando Nautica. Like, it's not letting some system give you fucking coordinates. You're doing that with Google Maps and everything, but you're then like doing the research to try and find like a coffee shop that has Pineapple Express, and then obviously planning the journey to get to that coffee shop. It just gives the whole day a bit of purpose other than just smoking weed.
My favorite one in Amsterdam is Abraxas, of course.
Of course, because you're a hippie bear,
a cult bitch. Yeah, Abraxas is fun and great. It's like it's uncomfortable though. That's the thing. It has this like very solar punk mosaic vibe to it or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it has like very uncomfortable like Protestant furniture. It's not like the kind of place where you can like lounge. But the thing about it is the kind of places where you can lounge are like horrible lad places where like young British lads go on their like...
The places where you can chill fall into two categories, okay? The places where you can properly chill...
And they don't have a vibe.
Actually, no, that's not true.
Vibe.
There's three categories. So you've got kind of... I would class like very like maybe they don't even exist still. Maybe this place still doesn't actually exist, and if it doesn't anymore, I am going to be really upset and really sad. So if anyone in the chat is like aware of the last status of what I would deem old Amsterdam style kind of like coffee shops, which is things like the Grasshopper, which is very, very chill. You could like chill there for fucking ages. It's great. It's fucking awesome. I'm pretty sure I took you to the Grasshopper when we went there. Then you've got basically kind of like your tourist trap. I'm not even they are literally traps because they're like opium dens. where they sell you this amazing weed, and then you sit on the sofa, and then you kind of see that film with Will Ferrell in it that you never really saw that came out like a few years ago. And so then you're kind of half stoned and you're kind of half paying attention and laughing along, and then before you realize it, you're already spent an hour there and you're hungry, and then you realize that everyone's being served these amazing, huge, crazy looking fucking milkshakes, and it's just like the ideal thing of what you want when you're stoned. So then you order one of those milkshakes and you end up watching the rest of the movie, and do you know what I mean? So it literally traps you in there like an opium den. Maybe it's just me, maybe it's just a Jake trap, maybe
No,
it's
it is it's like Jake daycare, basically. It's like a daycare center where
I definitely
I can
lost
just like
an
drop
afternoon
you off
in like one of those really kind of cheesy looking places with neon lights everywhere and shit, and there's like a film on and stuff, and you're just like fucking absolutely baked out of your mind. I've definitely lost a whole afternoon in one of those.
Yeah.
But there's quite a few of them, so I would classify as that as like a whole category.
I asked you to take me to the red light district when we went last time.
It's not fair. This is not
and
a fair
it was
story.
the most like it was like on Sunday afternoon, and we were on our way.
Sunday morning at 11
Yeah,
o'clock.
11. We were on our way to the airport to go back to London, and there was this like 40-year-old like South Asian woman in a window, just like gyrating. And it was the most abject display. and I was like, is this what everyone's been making a fuss about? Like,
babe.
what's going on? Or is Sunday afternoon when they trot out the...
Sunday morning, babe, is like hangover prozzies. Do you know what I mean?
all right.
So it's like it's not kind of women.
It's
that
not
are
the
gonna
high
be
caliber.
on the high caliber at all. Not at all. Definitely not.
I was disappointed, is all I have to say.
I think we were out on Friday night, and I was literally like, before we go home, we should go and walk through the red light district, because you were not.
No, because we had been in coffee shops all day, and I was stoned, and I was horny, and I wanted to drag you back to the boat that we were staying at so that we could fuck. I wasn't interested in looking at hookers. But then on Sunday, when I was like, okay, I'm in the mood now. Let's go have a look at the seedy underground of Amsterdam. I mean, it was seedy, but like in a sad
it's
way.
very sad on a Sunday morning, right?
But you're like on Saturday, whatever.
On
It's
a
like
Friday
popping.
or a Saturday night, it is popping,
It's
and there are
popping.
just people flooding the street. It's like Soho. If all the prostitution that actually does happen in Soho was
like
legal.
more visible.
Yeah, and
it
visible.
wasn't just like massage.
Yeah, definitely. It wasn't just massage and like members clubs and like all of these other kind of like things behind closed doors. It was just like,
You've taken me to about 4 fucking members clubs now.
Yeah.
And every time I go there, it's always the same fucking thing.
You liked the last one though. With my Portuguese friend.
Yeah,
You
I
liked it very much.
did. Like, I like the food.
and him as well. You had
I like
great
the
conversation.
food. I liked him. He's great. He's very fascinating guy. But then I go to the bathroom, and obviously I'm listening to the other women talking there, and the majority of them are there to hunt for like rich penises to hop on or whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And obviously they're all like really, really young and stuff. And that kind of energy is what you get in those sorts of like spaces, which is why it's like, oh, I didn't know.
It's a DiCaprio vibe.
Yeah, it's a DiCaprio vibe,
You
for
know?
sure.
I feel like DiCaprio that will just end up doing that. Like, if he doesn't like break the cycle soon, he'll just like flit around the world's Soho houses and just like
pick up 20-year-old.
pick up a new meat like when he gets bored. Do you know what I mean?
But that's the thing I hate about it is like, why would you want to go to this bougie exclusive place that's away from the rest of the city where it's like a daycare for you?
Always go there for the food, if I'm completely honest, because the food at those places is always pretty outstanding.
But it just shows you the death of like nightlife and sort of communal subcultures and stuff. Because you see all sorts of people in these sorts of Soho houses, from the artistic, punky sorts of types.
So, let's be honest.
Well, there are quite a few there who are there to network and like suck rich dick. And then you have like obviously really rich old men. You have your
I remember once we
who
went to
are like kind of looking.
I remember once we went to one and there was a comedy night on.
Yeah.
And we were sat there, and then I think the comedian asked like a couple of people like what they did or whatever, and then all the 3 people that he asked all did
PR.
advertising or PR or something like that. And he's like, who else works in advertising PR? And literally every single fucking person there like raised their hand, apart from. Like,
and they were all
you,
talking about and we were like, what are we?
And then he
doing?
picked me out and was like, "You, Mr. Wizard-looking man, you're not in advertising and PR, obviously. Like, what do you do?" And I was just like, "Oh, don't do this, man. Like, don't, I'm here to."
Yeah, it was great. It was wonderful. I love it when Jake gets called out. It's great. It's great. No, that was weird. And yeah, it was. I don't know. I just feel out of place in those sorts of, because it's like, why would you want to buy your friends? And they were all talking about that weird dating app as well.
I didn't realize
or whatever
that, like,
it's called.
Rhea. It's
Rhea.
like that one for like fucking actors and celebrities and like public people and stuff. And I didn't realize all you had to do was just earn like loads of money basically to be on. I thought it was actually that the whole point of that, I thought, was that you're a public person, so you like don't want to date someone in the public. You want to date someone that's going to understand that experience of being like whatever kind of league of celebrity that you are.
Yeah.
And so there's at least kind of you were on Big Brother, so you can be on Rhea or something. Do you know what I mean? Not just like
Big Brother is like the bare minimum you're allowed to.
I would fucking say so. Like, you were on Big Brother.
I think it's more gate-capped by income. If you can afford to pay to be on it, then you're obviously of a certain, class income where you have like the disposable income. But
I didn't realize it's just a raw class app. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. I thought it was more of like I guess celebrities are their own kind of class, but I thought it was not around directly.
But that's the thing, is you see celebrities in these Soho House fucking places, and it's like, how fucking sad are you? Like, that's fucking sad. Like, how unimaginative are you that you couldn't think of a better place to spend your fucking Saturday night? Like, it's just sad that it's all clustering into this like weird thing. It's just like, I don't know. It's weird. It's fucking weird.
It is weird. It's a weird development in society, kind of the further segregation of everybody, I guess.
Yeah, big time.
Where sort of, I don't know, would everybody be hanging out in the pub? I don't feel like they would be. I feel like the kind of rich people would have their own like weird little fucking buggery evenings or something that they
buggery
did,
evenings.
Whilst all the normal people did all the normal beer things. Drinking and,
Well,
debauchery.
no, but even then I feel, because the only reason we get to go there is because of your job and the people that because of your job or whatever, and we get to have our little class tourist experience or whatever.
Yeah, that's what it feels like every time I'm on a work trip. You just stay at these hotels where you're like, I'm not a 50-year-old person. Like, I couldn't afford to stay at a place like this, and you could only afford to stay at a place like this unless you were a celebrity or worked at that kind of level of things, or were a career person, and you're like 50 something and you're a fucking director or whatever.
Or you're somebody's girlfriend and you get to tag along.
So just like, you know what, the breakfast here, I'm gonna savor this melon. This is probably those fucking prize melons from Japan or whatever the fuck, and they're just like serving them for buffet breakfast at this hotel. So I'm gonna savor this shit. It's amazing.
It's fucking awful. I'll be at work like, oh my god, sweating, trying to like fucking input an article or something, and then Jake will send me a picture of like a fat steak or whatever, and I'll be like, fuck you. Like,
oh no, the best one was when
asshole.
I had to go to Paris for the day to go and
how awful.
to go and give some
how
training.
Terrible, how awful.
To go and give some training to a colleague, and then we went for lunch, and obviously I got
creme brulee is my favorite.
Obviously I got creme brulee.
Creme brulee is literally my favorite thing in the whole world, and you fucking sent me a picture of it.
How you doing, babe? Picture of creme brulee I'm eating right now.
In Paris as well. It was just like fucking
yeah.
I need a vacation. I have a lot of responsibilities right now, which is why I'm like bleh. But like next year I need to like
we'll get a big,
we need to do a big vacation. I need it.
We'll get a big vacation.
Like post COVID especially, because it feels like it things just kind of clicked into overdrive immediately as soon as like the world just like kind of went and everyone was back to work, and we were all trying to get back on board with our goals and our ambitions and recalibrating our place in the world and shit. It's like gone by so quickly. And then again, in this week alone, 10 years worth of events feel as if they've transpired, and everything feels like it's moving so fucking quickly and spinning completely out of control. I guess we're going to get to some of the darker developments.
Speaking of changing times, we've developed a system of it kind of like
Jake has got an eschatological model that he wants to pitch, basically.
kind of like the minutes to midnight idea with the doomsday clock.
Yeah.
But this is kind of for something different, I guess.
Yeah.
Not just like doomsday or like kind of the nuclear apocalypse, but just like very specifically the further drive towards the dystopian cyberpunk future that we clearly all seem to think is inevitable and all continuously just like drive towards it. And there was a Swedish fella who I watched a video of who I really enjoyed, who was talking about this exact thing of like the drive to continually build this world that nobody actually wants, and like all of the kind of things and practices that happen in it. I'm going to do more listening and reading about this fella before I kind of actually go, oh, this is something I'm really interested in, and talk about it publicly. But
Jake has fallen down a rabbit hole.
It did catch my ear, but it also was in like one of these big kind of glowy looking WEF like presentations. Do you know what I mean? So you're also like,
with like infographics.
No, not infographics, but just like, you know, big stage, LED lights everywhere, like tech looking, like, you know, big like TED Talk looking thing. And you're just sort of like, okay,
that's not that's a red flag.
Yeah, this is a red flag. But I do agree with the philosophical sentiment of what you're saying. But what's the?
It sounds like Jake is being psyoped.
Where's the 12 rules? Like, what's the angle here? Do you know what I mean?
Jake's like pitch it to me. Well, pitch us. Pitch us your eschatological model that you're.
I feel like there are 4 pillars, and we're going to call them. We're going to call them the Horsemen, the 4 Horsemen.
Biblical illusion
of Cyberpunk Dystopia, and
Jake thinks that we're basically going to talk about 4 events that have occurred this week that Jake thinks signals the 4 horsemen of the Cyberpunk Dystopia.
It's events that have happened this week, but they're not obviously like the first time they've ever happened. They're not like novel in that kind of way, but they are kind of, I think, signifiers for you know, all of these sorts of different aspects of things. So the first horseman of the apocalypse, you'll have to come up with a cool occult name for him after we've discussed him. But basically, it is the amalgamation, the 5 mega corporations, the fucking you know, Wayland Yutani, Apple fucking Tyrell Corporation.
Do you want to show everyone your Wayland Yutani sweatshirt that you made?
Yeah.
Jake has gotten into sewing patches.
Oh wait.
On his weird jackets that he gets from work.
Bosh, Wayland Yutani.
You look like such a tech employee right now.
Well, you can't help what you are, can you? But well, and then that's kind of part of it, right? Is that like, you know, yeah, you might work for some like, you know, plucky tech company,
corporation.
But we're entering the age where all of these things are going to start to solidify. What's the correct
mecha
word?
Suit.
What's the correct word?
It's going to be the mecha suit.
They're all
basically
unifying essentially into various different things. And this week, the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal finally fully went through, despite even it kind of, I think, being rejected by the UK for monopoly laws and such. On other kind of grounds that actually, to me, didn't make any fucking sense at all, like on cloud gaming or something, not even just on the bare fucking basis that, like, dude, you're buying a lot of game studios, and you're going to own, like, a large portion of the AAA game studios if you also own these guys as well. And I can just see this happening more and more. And this has happened with consumer electronics as well throughout kind of the last few years. Even Moog, right, has gone bankrupt this year.
Yeah.
These are all kind of, and that's Moog, dude.
Moog.
That's like
legendary.
If Fender or
There's
Gibson
so much,
fucked up and stopped making guitars.
There's so much legendary music that wouldn't exist without Moog, like, you know.
But that also, Fender and Gibson not selling guitars and also going bust, that has almost also happened, like, several times in the last, like, 20 years or whatever.
Really?
Right? And so Moog is kind of now, I would say, kind of one of the first big ones to really kind of, like, bite the bullet in that way. And they've been acquired by like another kind of, you know, bigger, I think I want to even say it's Music Tribe, which is actually kind of like the Behringer Group. Do you know what I mean? I want to like to fact check that whilst it's going. But,
Oh
like,
no, don't say fact check.
but
You're
it's,
reminding me of work now.
Oh, sorry.
You're giving me like a PTSD magazine.
But
PTSD.
they were acquired then by like a larger kind of group, you know, that like one of those kind of finance groups that then buys loads of different fucking companies and all that kind of stuff. And then on consumer electronics, like Harman and all of those kind of other massive companies that own all these different kind of brands are all kind of like coming together. And there's all these kinds of deals like constantly happening. And so,
major ones, not even
Yeah.
just on that like sort of scale in terms of like this merger with Microsoft. Like that means massive things because gaming is such a huge arm of culture right now. Like as much as I like to ignore it and pretend like
it's for lames.
yeah,
It's not that for lames.
It's really like
Where's the joint?
a big have we lost the joint?
Put it in there.
Sorry, stoners losing the joy. What was I saying? Yeah, even though I like to pretend gaming isn't very important, it is important, and it is a massively important pillar of.
It's a $69 billion deal.
Wow.
It's huge.
Yeah,
It's
and it
huge.
seems as if that Microsoft is swallowing a lot of like the gaming.
They are.
Well, I mean, and it kind of makes sense because PC gaming is so. Isn't it like the more popular mode of
so the way that
gaming?
and this
correct me if I'm wrong.
I guess Microsoft's model with gaming is almost related to Horseman number 3, but we'll come on to that in a second. But I think it's just the general what I'm generally trying to get at with this Horseman is the unifying of all of these huge companies, and that like if you're possibly even like myself that works for some other kind of like tech company of some kind that isn't one of the big guys, like when you see those graphs on you know tech you know businesses and the size of their circles and how much of the marketplace they take up, if you're not one of those big fucking circles in the next like 10 years, get ready to become one of those big circles is kind of like my
yeah,
opinion.
that's true.
Like
your company's gonna get absorbed into.
I wouldn't
the
be surprised,
love.
dude. I wouldn't be fucking surprised. All sorts of fucking companies. It'll be like Meta. All sorts of people will just start buying up things. And I think especially if there's like this huge financial crash happens that people are saying it does, and like you know
these companies are going to sort of buy out these companies to save them and sort of
to save them, to fucking acquire them. That's what happens in any fucking financial crisis, isn't it? All the very wealthiest people and the biggest fishes in the sea eat up all of the little fishes that are struggling and can't afford to fucking do anything. They drink the fucking milkshake.
They drink it up.
So
they fucking drink that milkshake.
And so I think if there is another big financial crash from COVID and like all of the inflation and blah 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 blah, I'm not a fucking economist. Like if there's another financial crash, I could definitely see stuff like that happening and becoming more prolific. And
but who do you think's gonna drink all the milkshake? Because I asked this question like almost every episode. Who do you think's gonna like drink all the fucking milkshake?
Well,
who do you think's gonna come out on top?
I've made a prediction before for my 5 companies that I think it will whittle down to.
Okay, go on then. Let us know what it is.
That is Apple, Microsoft, Meta, Tencent, and maybe Sony. I want to put Sony on there just as like a bit of a Japanese fanboy, and like I fucking love Sony as like.
Why not Samsung?
Because I don't really like a lot of their products, if I'm honest.
But they're powerful.
Maybe
in South Korea.
They're very powerful. Like that whole tech feudalism shit that's happening in South Korea is a whole episode in itself.
Oh, we need to go there. I can't believe we haven't gone there already. We need to go there.
Is like that's a whole episode in itself.
That's a whole episode, yeah.
The kind of dynastic families that essentially run and own South Korea. It's pretty intense.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I would put Sony on that list just because I'm a fucking Sony fanboy and I'm rooting for Japan to like to pull it through.
Stop being such a fucking weirdo.
In Blade Runner, Sony is one of the signs that you see in Blade Runner. So like they predicted it in Blade Runner. I wanna keep the tradition going.
You do.
But there's probably a better 5th company. I'm just putting that as my honorary 5th one. I feel like it should be an Eastern company as well because I do.
Why not Huawei?
Yeah, you've got a good bet there with Huawei.
Huawei, yeah,
You've got
Huawei.
you've got a good bet there with Huawei. But then I think the amount of stigma that they've got and the kind of, no one's doing business with Huawei anymore because everyone knows they're spying and being cheeky. So
I speak a little Chinese.
I know you went to China and did like a whole thing there, didn't you?
Yeah, I do. 我说中文.
You can protect us when the invasion happens.
Oh my god, no, my Chinese isn't that good anymore. It's left in my brain.
What would your find?
Sad.
And that's just for
I'm really sad that I've like lost a lot of it because I haven't practiced in years. And
so those 5 companies, that's just in terms of like tech and stuff. I'm sure there would be like maybe even then even a consolidation on like car manufacturers and stuff like that. Who knows what would happen with that, with all the pending changes with technology and stuff. So that's kind of hard to say actually, if all industries would have that same kind of consolidation.
Yeah.
But I feel like food has already had that.
Yeah.
But because it's not kind of quite as public, and everybody, it's one of those things, everybody kind of knows about it, but maybe doesn't know about it. Like there's been so many documentaries and things on Netflix and things on the BBC and all sorts of stuff about, Monsanto and all of this kind of stuff, which ends up just being on Nestle and shit, like all these companies which just own vast
like a Russian
amounts
doll.
of like the grocery stores that you go into essentially. So I think that it's like that's another one of them. But what would you say would be your 5 companies?
I don't know, probably the exact same ones that you have.
Yeah,
but Huawei instead of Samsung.
Because you're a China stan instead of Japan.
I'm not a China. I like in terms of like which one I'm a weeaboo for out of the China, Japan, and well, I'm a little bit of a Japanophile because I'm like a little bit obsessed with Japan, but like not in like a fangirl way, but like in a more like morbidly curious way in that sense. But I feel like I have closer ties to China because I like learned the language in high school and went and like visited and like I have like closer ties like heart wise I guess, and like in terms of having like really experienced the culture and stuff. So
that's fair enough.
But everyone seems to be on Japan's dick these days because of Crunchyroll or whatever.
Yeah, everyone's a Crunchyroll subscriber.
Yeah, everyone's a Crunchyroll subscriber. Well, like the thing is, just a quick aside, this is like a tiny aside, apparently Crunchyroll subscribers are getting $30 because like the Crunchyroll was like selling their data and they're now being sued. So everyone who has a Crunchyroll subscription may possibly get like a little bit of money.
I feel like your data is probably worth more than $30, but hey, lawyers be expensive, and $30 is better than nothing.
Exactly.
I guess. So
take it while you can. And I feel guilty now because I like forbade you from getting a Crunchyroll subscription.
Well, I don't know.
It was during lockdown, and you were
I
like,
bet they've got an app for the Switch. I bet like you could literally be watching anime on your Switch.
That's like so. Oh god. Like, it was during lockdown and you were getting into all your weird, fucking, stupid weeaboo behaviors again. They were slowly creeping back in.
Like what?
And you wanted to get, like, ramen boxes delivered or whatever. It's like, no, that's not happening.
I think that's unfair.
You were, like, sat me down for, like, 3 hours.
In the chat, like,
looking at ramen boxes.
Give us your 5... cyberpunk companies that you think it's going to whittle down to. I'd be interested to kind of hear what your predictions
Crunchyroll
are. Crunchyroll
should be one of them.
Let's just check the chat quickly before we move on to Horseman number 2.
Okay.
Those red light things are basically fronts for human trafficking.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure to some degree.
I mean, it's quite obvious and sad, which is why I wasn't, like, impressed by what I saw.
Oh, there we go. So you're lumping all of these other big companies in with... Because it's kind of like, the other one... Like, so you've gone... So it's Micro, Google, Apple, Raytheon, Monsanto,
well, yeah,
BlackRock,
BlackRock, Disney. Yeah.
And, like, that... Micro, Google, Apple, that is terrifying. Like, to actually, that's taking like what I'm suggesting to the fucking crazy level. Like, I would actually be so terrified if that was the world we lived in. But yeah, like Raytheon and BlackRock and things like that, and like those kind of finance companies, I feel like they're probably kind of quite invested already within Microsoft and Google and those other kind of things.
Yeah.
So would you then deem Yeah, would
That's what I'm saying. It's like a Russian doll.
Yeah, would you
it's like a friggin' Russian
would
doll?
you deem it
like,
Microsoft, or would you deem it the controlling share, which is actually BlackRock, or whatever the fuck? That's an interesting kind of question, I guess.
Yeah.
Didn't Bandcamp get bought by some extras? Bandcamp got bought by Epic Games, my dude. Bandcamp is owned by Epic.
Why? That's so random.
Yeah, that was everybody's response. Everyone was just like, okay. And I think I'm an independent musician that uses Bandcamp as well. So like it was, I think everybody kind of in the community was very much like, okay, what does this mean? Like, is anything going to change? And nothing changed. I think they've added actually more features and they've added more resources to developing Bandcamp than they would have had without the purchase and stuff. So there's been no signs of doing bad things yet with it. So I'm happy.
Nothing naughty has happened yet.
It's fine as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's still a very good platform and still doing very well.
Yeah.
Happy Saturn Day all.
Happy Saturn Day.
I'm very envious of whoever's within the view of the solar eclipse. Yeah, I heard it was in view in America.
In America,
and there is a stream on YouTube from NASA, so you can watch it and see.
It's feeling incredibly apocalyptic right now.
But yeah.
And Friday the 13th passed, like holy shit. And obviously we're gonna get to the second not great events that have happened this week as well.
Okay.
Which is the second Horseman.
So second Horseman is Israel Palestine.
Yeah.
Like
the Great Divide.
You know, I feel like the kind of Russia, Ukraine, whatever, the way that everybody kind of piled in with money and stuff, that was quite obviously some kind of money laundering thing, which they do, you know, from time like Afghanistan, all this stuff, where they send a load of weapons, send a load of old weapons, and now they have to replenish the stock, obviously. So they have to buy a whole load of new weapons, a whole load of new ammunition, because they just sent all of their stuff somewhere else. And so it's just another excuse for them to spend money on contracts with their buddies and then secure them favors or whatever the fuck, speeches or whatever the fuck it might be, you know, down the line and shit. So that was kind of like that still is like a classic open shut case in my opinion from the West's point of view of like that conflict, let alone all the other kind of sub stuff with the whole like NATO expanding and then Russia kind of responding and all of that stuff. That's like a whole different conversation. But in terms of like the political affect, that's what it's going to be. Political affect for Israel Palestine is like tearing people apart and like implementing laws which are incredibly worrying to sort of take away further your like freedom of speech and everything else.
Yeah, here in the UK, you know, as well, one of the worrying developments of this is that the fact that like pro-Palestinian protests could potentially be banned. And you know, and it's complicated obviously because like I'm not going to say that the response to in that camp has necessarily been as sensitive as it should be, or you know there's some horrible shit like people celebrating, you know, the deaths that occurred in Israel, which is obviously hideous and disgusting. And that kind of it didn't surprise me at the same time because like Israel Palestine represents such an archetypal divide. So it didn't surprise me that when this happened, the sort of media peanut gallery that surrounded it was just people at each other's throats. Mm-hmm. You know, people, even the black community was like weirdly divided on this, which I found interesting because you have a lot of black Christians, obviously, a lot of black evangelicals who are historically pro-Israel for religious and like sort of theological reasons. For many of them eschatological reasons as well. And then you have like the sort of civil rights tradition, which has historically been in support of Palestine and is sort of traditionally, you know, identified with the plight of Palestine. Like I saw a speech from Nelson Mandela's son a couple of weeks ago where he was sort of talking about Palestine and about how he sort of identifies with the struggle. So this is something that's also been like very sort of a thing in the black community. And now there's like beef. People are fighting and people are like at each other's throats. If you support Israel, you're this. If you don't, you're that, blah, blah, blah. Pick a side, blah, blah, blah. It's just been literal insanity and chaos in terms of like the discourse or whatever. And then on top of that, just horror, the sheer horror of what's been transpiring. I mean, doom scrolling is an understatement. Like, it's been like people have been arguing about whether or not decapitated babies happened, like,
and the way that their blood is spilled and such,
it's just
indicate as like evidence.
I'm like, how have we
Twitter
gotten to this point?
that-
We've really, I really am considering just deleting and deactivating my account at this point. It's just like, it's really a curse
in the digital
on
age as well.
humanity.
Everybody's
Like,
CV is like a sort of like this very sort of drifty thing where sort of like, this week I'm an expert in like Russian history,
Yeah.
and like what counts as Ukraine and what counts as Russia.
yeah,
and this
yeah,
week I'm an expert.
and that's the thing. Is also pick a side as well, and also really heavily vocalize as radically as possible what side you're on in these incredibly complex geopolitical issues that like the average person just really isn't that educated about either, which is the really fucking annoying thing.
But yeah, I put Israel Palestine and I guess like a big war, some kind of big war in as much as that it's like not just us sending all of our old toys to some other kind of like satellite place or something to piss off the Russians, basically, right? Like it's like potentially someone with the highest level, one of the highest levels of like what do they call it, like covert operations capabilities and like all sorts of stuff. So who knows what kind of technology and like all kind of crazy shit you're going to see, and like AI technology, I think, and CPU technology, all sorts of stuff is kind of some of it's headed out in Israel. So like
I mean, it's one of the most high-tech security states in the world as well, which is why, you know, people are surprised that their security was even capable of being breached in such a way.
Surprised.
Well, I mean, I don't.
Some people have noticed how high their security is.
Well, that's the thing is,
and how something like this would be very unlikely.
That's the thing is that some people are saying, obviously, that this could potentially be blah 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 blah. Like, who knows? Who the fuck knows? Like,
another 9/11 in all the truest sense of the words.
Oh my god, dude! Like, whichever way, like, I'm not going there. I'm definitely not fucking going there. Especially because like emotions are so high right now around everything going on.
Of course, but like we live in a crazy world, and I think just to like get wrapped up in your emotions, like, oh no, we couldn't possibly say that. I think it's sort of like this is the same bullshit they used in COVID actually as well, where you'd be like, this is a fucking op, dude. This is like crazy talk. This is like nonsense. This is clearly like some kind of thing that they're covering up, like someone's mistake or something. This wasn't just some like bat that fucked a fucking pigeon or whatever the fuck.
yeah.
You know, and then when you would say things like that, people are dying.
Yeah,
it's very insensitive.
Yeah.
You can't come up with conspiracy theories at this time. You can only talk about the facts. And you're like, well, you know, do we know the facts?
Yeah.
Do you know the facts?
Yeah.
Do you know the facts?
It's just tragic. It's just tragic and horrible and disgusting.
Anywhere where it's an active war zone, dude, anything you read out of that is going to be incredibly biased information. Yeah. So, like, do you know the truth of it?
Yeah.
Like, you got to rank some stuff on, like, how much of this is bullshit.
And then to also be asked to choose, and then to also be asked to, like, publicly, like, you know, take this huge radical stance, despite the fact that, again, we're in a massive information vacuum in the West. Like Jake said, we don't have all of the information. The information that we do get about what's going on is incredibly biased and sort of curated, and also lean towards like the state's interest. Like, isn't Al Jazeera banned now as well? Like as soon as the war in Ukraine kicked off, a bunch of outlets got banned, completely banned.
Because they're a little bit too probably unbiased in what they were covering.
Well, even if they're not, regardless, it's a perspective that they clearly don't want people to have. Like, even if they are biased, I want to be able to see all sources of information and be able to decipher things for myself. But we don't even have that. And at the same time, we're being shown these images of sheer horror. Like the shit that I've seen, like I've literally tried to stay off of social media as much as I can this week. But I don't like seeing dead bodies. Like, I remember during 2020 when like the George Floyd stuff was going on and people were sharing all of these gruesome images.
Horrible.
I purposefully avoided, and I did successfully avoid a lot of that stuff.
It's hard to though.
It's hard to though. And I was scrolling and I didn't expect to see like, I don't know, a dead baby. Well, like I'm
not cool and trendy, so I'm not on Twitter. So like, but I know that on Facebook, like things have gotten better since the George Floyd era of stuff, where you'd just be scrolling and then just see that stuff. Which is just like, whoa, dude.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? I was not really ready to just like take all that in like, right now, if I'm totally honest. Yeah. Versus now, I think like anything that's kind of quite even like mildly kind of edgy, it will be totally blurred out, and you have to then press it to see it and all of that kind of stuff. So you have to put a lot of like, I agree that
not
I'm
on Twitter, not on
like
Twitter,
quite fucked up or whatever.
Not on Twitter, and that's the thing, is it's so hypocritical in my opinion, because they're so censorious when it comes to like everything else, language, this, that. People self-censor. Like if you're on TikTok, people will say like grape instead of like rape or whatever, because they don't want the algorithm to punish them or whatever the fuck. And obviously it's like ridiculous. They'll be saying this really serious story about rape, and then they'll say grape right in the middle of it. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? But yeah, we self-censor. We do all sorts of things. We're like really heavily like influenced by that. But yeah, like images of death, carnage, destruction, dead infants are fine to just like kind of scroll across like your feed. And then on top of that, there's a tremendous amount of like pressure to take a stance. And because of that, a lot of people are saying a lot of really stupid things. And the thing is, and because we're in such a divided culture, and we love culture war, and we love to condemn each other, and we're fragmentation. Like I said, Israel-Palestine is like the archetypal divide, so it doesn't surprise me that people are fighting. People are now also condemning each other. So it's like, this person has this stance, therefore this is evidence of their like innate disgusting evil. And now I want nothing to do with them. And like, it's just more of a reason for us to like hate each other. And I think what's really going on is that a lot of people are just like, you know, ignorant and fumbling over a very complicated clusterfuck of a geopolitical situation, you know?
Yeah, and everyone's, and what I mean is like everyone's already kind of got an implied side by the sounds of things. Yeah. Because of whatever proximity to whatever group of whatever people. Yeah. They might be around either digitally or physically. Yeah. Yeah. Which I guess in some respects, so I'm kind of glad I'm a bit of a fucking loner if I don't get
same
like
here.
into like having to believe
whatever the fuck some team is pressuring you to fucking say or believe.
What I will say is that I feel like whatever side is presenting whatever, they don't present the whole truth. Like, someone that is pro-Israel will say, oh, well, Hamas are a terrorist organization and they don't want a two-state solution. They want to eradicate Israel. And it's like, yeah, you can talk to some fucking Israelis that think exactly the same thing and don't want fucking Palestine there and want just Israel. So, and even by the evidence of the expansion of the settlements, all the stuff, that is literally you doing that. So, do you know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. Like, you can't have just a conversation where you're like, well, you're both kind of vying for the same thing, that you don't want a two-state solution and that neither of you want the other one there. Can you just, like, fucking settle on that? Like, and then, yeah, maybe some horrible fucking war is going to have to fucking break out for the dust to settle in that shit. And unfortunately, one of them's a lot wealthier than the other. Yeah. But hey, Vietnam, that didn't always fucking pan out for it, you know, in that way, right?
I just don't want to see. I don't want to see. Don't even like put that kind of. I don't want to see any more death and destruction. But like, it's already happening. Like, it's already like, as we're speaking, shit is going down.
And I put this war as the second horseman because of, as well, of the kind of religious symbology of what it means as well, and kind of prophecies and like all of those kinds of things. Not just in terms of that, but also in terms like entering a new age, and in terms of like an apocalypse, and that not necessarily being like kind of nukes and stuff, but actually like a new age in a totally different world, like, and a war in that specific part of the world. I think that would be a decent symbol or sign of that.
Big time, but not only just with the sort of religious symbolism aspect of it, but also in terms of the fact that it's now brought to bear a whole lot of religious tensions. You know, around Europe even, obviously we have Jewish populations, Muslim populations. Now the police here in the UK have like put like a bunch of more protection in Jewish neighborhoods. Like, things feel incredibly tense and incredibly like divided and like... And like I said at the beginning, it doesn't surprise me, because like Israel-Palestine is like the archetypal divide. Like, even in, I think, Borat or Bruno, one of Sacha Baron Cohen's he calls a member from each side and like does some silly skit with them. I don't remember which one it was.
I think that's in Bruno.
Yeah, I don't remember. I feel like we should find the clip so that we can play it.
I think that's Bruno.
I feel like we should find the clip. But yeah, Sacha Baron Cohen did that, but the reason he did it obviously is because it's like an archetypal divide. And in the movie, I think Bruno is trying to like create this peace PR kind of image around himself or whatever. And like that's why he's like sort of brought these two people to come together. And like, yeah, it is the archetypal divide, and I guess that's why he chose it for comedy. Hang on, we're pulling up the clip now.
Let me see if I can get this to work.
Yeah,
bear with me for a second.
2 seconds.
Hopefully this works.
Yay!
Technology, eh? What a fucking miracle!
We're good.
All right, so
amazing.
Here we go.
Why are you so anti-Hamas? I mean, isn't pita bread the real enemy?
You're confused.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Hummus has nothing. Do you think there is a relation between Hamas and hummus?
So was the Hamas a chef? He had created the food and then got lots of followers.
Hummus has nothing to do with Hamas. It's a food, okay? We eat it, they eat it.
It's vegetarian, it's healthy, it's beans. We both agree that hummus is very healthy.
So we're making progress. Let's try and get a solution, right?
He's like, he has to have a succession of people because he's like, I can't carry on this fucking conversation with this guy. I can't believe, like, the guy on the right is literally like, I can't even fathom.
But I feel like Bruno kind of represents the average like American pop culture, social media brained consumer, like on this issue, and like a lot of the takes that have been coming out since this whole thing broke out. And like,
I mean, I've got to be honest, I haven't heard anyone say like, I don't get it, doesn't everyone love hummus? Like, I haven't heard anyone say that yet.
You haven't heard any of that yet.
I feel like someone needs to be paying tribute to Bruno and cracking that joke out on Twitter a little bit.
Will you, the Palestinians, agree to give the pyramids back to the Israelis?
This is in Egypt, not in Palestine.
I don't care where you put them. Give them.
Oh my god.
Gaining something for your own people, whether you believe it, whether you were convinced to do that. But
Okay, take it easy, girlfriend.
Civil rights.
If I did not get these queens to sign a peace deal soon, I would not become famous.
Literally, this is like the average American journalist, like at the moment. Like, it's just like, oh my god.
Well, there's so much British comedians to be very like prophetic with a lot of their comedy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, it's like I'm kind of getting like the same way we saw these Life of Brian clips where they're doing the whole like leftists arguing about like trans rights. And
Yeah.
It's just like, dude, this is actually
Prescient.
wild. Like, this
So
is wild how
prescient.
prescient this is.
Well, like, hang on, we're not going to get
there we go.
copyright strike for showing that clip.
No,
are we?
not at all. That's
I
like
hope
just playing
not.
little bits and we're laughing and it's all reacting to it. Like,
Are you
we're all
sure?
good. It's all fair use, baby.
Are you sure?
It's all fair use,
I'm,
baby.
I'm anxious. Our channel's still new and like shiny. So
it's all
I'm
fair
like,
use,
oh my
bruh.
God.
We're all good. So yeah, that is the big war that's going to
big
bring
war.
some kind of
well,
like,
there's now another
era
fucking
change.
hot war happening in the world. So you've got Russia, Ukraine, and now you have Israel, Palestine.
Maybe there's a third one that might pop up before the end of the year or
Who
in the
knows?
New Year's. You know, who knows? So then we're moving swiftly on to the third horse of the apocalypse, which was a headline I read today or yesterday. The Best Buy is no longer selling Blu-rays and DVDs.
Wow. I remember
And
the
you
first time. We got to talk about the first time I took you to Best Buy in America.
Okay, yeah.
This is our first trip to America together. And this was at the time when my family was still living in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
and it was right before Christmas, and I think we had forgotten to get presents for the little ones, my nephews, and we wanted to get them like Smash Bros or whatever. And this was the first time Jake had gone to an American tech shop, and you were like a fucking child in a candy store. Like, you literally, I lost you in there. It was so sweet. I personally hate going there, especially, no offense with you, because you start like really deeply spurging about like, I don't know, speakers and
'cause they've got so much
plugs
stuff there.
and
They've got so
like
much
all
stuff there.
these silly things that I don't know what they mean, and then computer stuff and blah blah blah.
It's like they've got as
You
much,
were, like,
they've
so
got-
excited.
They've got as much stuff as a website. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like, where I feel like in Britain you don't really have a lot of
No.
shops like that. Maybe
We had curries
and stuff like that.
But it's like
kind of.
depressing. It doesn't have like that kind of like fun consumer American energy to
And
it.
it's not as vast.
Yeah, it's like
The
a tiny
selection
like
is,
high
nowhere
street.
near as like crazy, right?
No,
like-
absolutely not.
And they wouldn't just have like whole things just full of like weird fucking gadgets and shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah,
they
yeah.
they wouldn't have the retail space. This is fucking England. We're just fucking like that.
We're tiny.
But so yeah, Best Buy not selling Blu-rays and DVDs. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
This is an indication and a horseman of the apocalypse, because this is another step in the WEF direction. Right? This is another you will own nothing and be happy like kind of vibe.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, and you know, they're bringing out the PlayStation Slim. This generation of consoles was the first generation to include discless versions.
Yeah. I just got my Switch back, and I bought the cartridge of Animal Crossing as a rebellion against this authoritarian system, guys. Because I was tempted to buy it on the game store and just pay the extra 15 quid.
No, double price.
Is it double price?
You'll pay full price for Animal Crossing on the electronic store, so you'll spend 50 quid on it.
How much did I buy it for with the
25 quid off eBay.
Really?
Yeah.
This is why you have a boyfriend who does these things for. This is why. This is the. But yeah, no.
No, but seriously, that's
yeah.
like, you know, but that all comes around.
It
the
is kind of a
pre-owned-
horseman of the apocalypse that Best
Why
Buy
does that
stopped
exist?
selling DVDs.
Why does that exist though? Right? Because how much money does Nintendo make on you buying a version of Animal Crossing that someone else is finished playing with?
That's true.
Nothing. Nintendo makes absolutely fuck all on you buying someone else's copy of Animal Crossing.
Yeah, true.
They will make money every single time someone wants to buy Animal Crossing or play Animal Crossing, because they have to buy it on the actual Nintendo
shop. Yep.
And that way they are secured every fucking sale. And not only just that every sale, but like they control that whole ecosystem. So it's not even like Steam or like something else, you know, for a different like PC or something, where Steam may take 30% of whatever fucking sale. So even PlayStation that are now publishing their games on PC, they'll sell their game on Steam. Steam still takes 30% of Sony's check. You know, Sony and people are not happy about that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the price to pay to be on Steam.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
Steam
yeah.
is the monopolist platform to buy and, you know, have your games library.
Yeah,
on PC. That's how it's
true.
So that's just the cost of business.
We've been bad though. We haven't really collected as many DVDs as we should have, and now DVD apocalypse has happened.
So I put this down to.
It's because we're
us-
not old enough. If
No?
we were in our mid 30s, because I feel like older millennials had more of a grace period to collect things, and I think because we're about to cross the threshold into our 30s, I feel like people of our age don't have as much physical media as like maybe people in their mid to late 30s. But I feel like we've tried a lot with books, with records. We could have been a bit better with collecting DVDs though, which I feel we've got some, but we don't have as robust a collection as I feel like we have of other things.
So I'll tell you why that is. We've only got a Blu-ray player now on my PC.
Yeah, that's true.
We live in a studio flat.
Yeah, our flat
Right.
is like a tiny
So we
London
don't-
flat
we
that
don't
we
have a-
pay way too much for.
We don't have a TV room. Right?
No.
And I feel like a lot of people, especially in our generation, are in much smaller apartments than people generation before us.
Yep.
Not even a generation before us, literally like 10 years before us.
Yeah.
10 years before us, they weren't cutting up everyone's fucking living rooms into 2 separate fucking bedrooms.
And then charging $2,000 a month for
each,
it.
just half of
For
it.
half of
Do you know what I mean? So like, it's a different game.
Welcome to London,
it's a different fucking game. It's just the game's completely fucking changed. So like, it's not the same, and that's kind of why I think people maybe had more of a, and not only that, but the streaming infrastructure was not robust enough.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think like I was watching a streamer the other day talk about this a little bit in regards to like music. Essentially, like, why does anybody subscribe to Spotify? Because it's easier than downloading and buying your music and organizing your own music library.
Yeah, true.
And that is even the same for piracy, right?
True.
It's more convenient, way more convenient.
But it's a generational
for you
thing
to
too.
not pirate something and then go through the hassle and all the other stuff, because all that hassle is still the same hassle as if you bought the fucking music.
But it's a generational.
But you just not bought it.
But it's a generational thing too. I feel like it's because we're on the younger end of the millennial spectrum, kind of blending into the Zoomers. And like, for instance, we don't have a big collection of CDs. But then when I like go to my older millennial friends' houses and my Gen X friends' houses, they will have a CD collection.
I
of some
used to.
sort.
I used to have a great CD collection. That has, I don't.
I did
actually
too when
know-
I was a kid, but I lost that as soon as I got an iPod when I was like 16.
Actually, yeah, maybe
But the
it was a
iPod,
very
the iPod
petulant-
kind of ruined that for me. And then from then on, it was digital. So we kind of were on that wave of having a digital library of stuff. Sorry, the only reason I always make you do the camera, by the way,
Yeah.
not because I'm being a princess.
a little bit.
No, it's because I'm like, I don't want to show everyone my boobs, which is why
You don't want to increase our subscriber count. Like, what are you talking about?
I don't want to lean over the camera and like, fucking show everyone. I'm being modest.
But
But yeah, no, yeah, like that we were of that generation where people started to kind of get digital libraries more. And
Yeah.
the vast majority of the media that I consumed as like a teen and kid and blah, blah, blah was stuff on my iPod, on my fucking computer,
well, not only that, but I feel like there
So I don't have
the-
a big
the-
DVD collection.
The subscription model is going beyond just media and games and like trivial things. Subscription based model is now coming into
Everything.
It's
Yeah.
almost that you would need to actually run your life,
Oh,
for
yeah.
example.
Oh, yeah.
So you need a new MacBook. You need a MacBook because it has the specs and the creative access to software that you need to do whatever the fuck,
Your
right?
job
in certain,
or whatever,
in certain fields and certain jobs and whatever the fuck. Need a MacBook. That MacBook costs a fuckload of money. You can't probably afford that, so you then end up getting it on finance. So you're locked into a subscription essentially for 3 years or whatever to pay for that MacBook. Your phone is the same fucking model. Cars are now becoming the same model, where you become a BMW subscriber, and depending on your tier of subscription, will unlock different features within your car.
Wow.
So you own the exact same car as
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
else that has a premium subscription.
But then you won't have
Your-
heated butt seats
No,
or
your
something.
car seats have the heated
The
butt
capacity
seats in it. They
but you
have
can't
them
have
in
it
there.
because you're too poor.
But your subscription does not unlock the feature to heat your butt seats. I'm not talking about butt seats. There's only seats for your butt. That's a silly thing to say. But do you know what I mean? Though?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
like fucking insane, and that's for a car, dude. Like even like the fact that nobody's been able to buy a house anymore. This
Subscribe
is now
to
makes
a
this,
family
yeah, this now
home
makes accommodation
owned by BlackRock,
Yeah, well, this makes accommodation subscription
Monsanto,
based.
fucking yeah.
This makes accommodation subscription based.
Yeah.
In a
But in all
roundabout
honesty,
way,
wouldn't
right?
you rather subscribe to the fucking JG Ballard pod tower than like pay fucking nearly $3,000 for a studio flat in London? Like it's just kind of like because it's starting. There are these weird like I said, JG Ballard fucking style. Because when we were looking for a place, we were getting advertised a lot of these, and it's like, oh, buildings for creative professionals where all your needs are met. and there's a yoga studio and a gym and a fucking blah 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 blah.
Oh, yeah, like
and
all
you
those-
never have to leave.
Yeah, purpose-built high-rise places.
Yeah. I could see that being like sort of the model of the future in a lot of ways in like major cities.
Even down to like I was watching a thing today. This is the last bit I'll make about this.
This horseman.
Subscribe to Life Horseman. But that's maybe what this third one will be called. We have to come up with names for all the horsemen. You've got to be thinking of the names for the other first two.
I am.
Is that basically companies like Apple or like manufacturers of goods essentially know that the economy hasn't been working essentially in the way that it kind of should be in like all understandings of it, right? And that actually the returns that people get on the improvements of technology in the last 10 years, arguably, do not give back significant returns. So if you got an iPhone 9 and you went for an iPhone 10, that iPhone 10 costs $1,000.
$1,000.
What do you get for $1,000? A couple extra megapixels on your camera and a fucking new feature or something? Like, the changes are so incremental that it's not worth it. And people understand that because consumers aren't fucking thick. So most people don't buy the new fucking iPhone unless you're literally brainwashed and you're fucking gone.
But a lot
and
of
you're
people
lost
are.
and then you're lost in the sauce, and there's nothing. I'm not speaking to you. I'm speaking to everyone else.
A lot
right?
of people like camp outside of Best Buy and like
so those
the Apple
people are
store.
lost. Those people are gone. You can't help those fucking people. Okay? But
When I lived in America, I remember the ritual of driving past Best Buy and seeing the people camping outside. You know, like
it's insane. That kind of brainworm is insane in people.
It's real though.
It is very real. But
It's real.
they know that you're not going to buy a phone for a longer period of time now. So it will maybe be 5 years or 7 years. And same thing with graphics cards. The same thing with things that would be a kind of big purchase or something. They know that actually the return on that is going to be less than you are actually going to really benefit from. And so the cost of it skyrockets, so that you do only like maximize essentially a margin on someone's purchase every 7 years or every 6 years, rather than something that could be every year or every 2 years or something. Do you know what I mean? So they're like fucking the prices on these things to make specific types of margins just for fucking numbers, dude. Like, it's all bullshit. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's all fucking bullshit. And there's just so many fucking things that you find out just become utter numbers game bullshit. When actually it could be totally fucking different. Like, there's no need for your phone to cost $1,000.
No need at all.
It doesn't cost $1,000.
It doesn't cost $1,000
like, it doesn't
at all. No.
It probably costs a couple $100 to make.
Yeah.
If you sold it for $400, you'd be making 100% profit. Like, that is already like, do you know what I mean? And so like, if
I wanted to get really
in my little weird hippie fucking utopia fucking shit. Like, those are the sorts of things that I would implement. Like, you can't make more than 100% profit on something. You've already made 100% profit. Like, what more? There's no more than 100%. Like, that is actually the limit. And like, why would you need to? Because actually the effect that all that has is just bullshit. And just bad for everybody. And it stalls the economy and it does all this fucking shit. So like, why would you do that? Why would you do any of it? Just to be greedy, because it feeds your own stockholders, it feeds your own bullshit.
This one is Moloch.
Yeah, there you go, Moloch or whatever you want to call it. Moloch.
This horseman is Moloch.
So like that's what it all comes down to. And like it's all feeding into that. So they that know
Moloch system.
They know the game they're playing. They want to wef it for you to subscribe to everything. And so any way that you can not do that and retain ownership of whatever the fuck you're doing in your life, like you should follow.
I want
follow
it to go. I want it, since we're on that 90s hype again, that Y2K hype again. It'd be cool if like there's like more diversity in cellular phones came back and people kind of designed their own kind of features.
There was a great
and it was like
video
all
essay I watched
cyberpunk
about this recently.
Cool.
Everybody gave up basically. Like when
I miss that era of phones.
When this format came through, literally everybody was just like, okay, that's it then. Like that's how we do it. And now you've got a little bit of that. You got Samsung making flip touch phones and stuff like that, and like,
but it's still kind of gimmicky.
They did try to bring back the Razr as well. Yeah,
they did.
Did you buy one?
The Motorola Razr.
Here we go. Did you buy one? No. Do you know why? because it was $1,000.
Yeah.
I'm not even fucking with you.
Yeah.
The Motorola Razr, they tried to make a comeback and they've sold it for fucking $1,000. I was the kind of asshole that's nostalgic enough to potentially even literally switch from a smartphone to one of those fucking things if it was reasonable. If it was like, yeah, go on then, a couple $100, whatever. That's kind of like I'll go for that. 1,000 fucking quid on a switch on a flip phone, dude.
Yeah,
that's not even the one. That's not even the one from the Matrix. Like, I'm sorry.
You're like if it was
come
the
on.
one for the Matrix, maybe we would consider it, but no.
There was like I think there was a Nokia that was in Matrix Revelations or like one of the second ones that my brother got.
Oh, really?
And it was fucking sick.
Does he still have it? I'm sure it'd be worth a lot right now.
He might do, you know. It was the coolest phone that I ever saw until smartphones came out. That is for sure. But that's Nokia as well, dude.
Dude, I had a Prada phone. I had a fucking Prada.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
You're girly. Fucking Prada phone.
No, well, it
Prada
was
a makeup company. Or
well,
like
no, there was a whole era, dude. There was a
something.
whole era where these designer houses were making phones.
They made some devil deal with some fucking Chinese manufacturer and churned out loads of shit phones.
But it
that
was a
didn't
really
work.
shit phone, which was the thing. It
Yeah.
was terrible. The interface was absolutely awful.
They sold you a Temu phone with fucking Prada,
Prada
on the top.
on it. But no, the thing is, because Nigerians are very sort of gaudy people and enjoy flashy shit.
Ah, Gucci. Gucci.
My mom bought like a bunch of these fucking Prada phones. And like she just like gave me one, and she was like, I was like taking it to like, look at my Prada phone, and it was like my
Cute.
favorite thing for a while. But it was shit. It didn't work. It was awful. But there was a lot of love and care that went into the design. It had like a fucking little sleeve. Like that shit looked fly as fuck. Like it really did. And I do miss that era a little bit.
Of non-functional, cool
Yeah,
phones.
non-functional, cool-looking phones. Like fuck yeah. And I like that. You know, the people are like, oh, I have like a dummy phone that I use to stay away from social media and shit like that. Blah blah blah. I don't know if I have enough self-discipline to.
Oh, if I didn't work for.
If you weren't a corpo.
If I didn't work for a tech company, dude, like I would not
Yeah.
be using a smartphone anymore.
If you weren't a Nook Corp employee,
literally,
that needed to have a mandatory Nook Corp phone,
I would not have one.
No.
I would communicate via smoke signal. Or like only via Discord. Be like an absolute greaseball. And like only communicate via Discord when I'm at my computer.
That's like neat behavior, dude. That's like really
so I just
like
enter the world with no
red flag,
phone.
especially with those glasses. Red flag, dude. Red flag.
Lies.
Groomer energy.
Lies. Okay, well, the last Horseman of the Apocalypse, because I do want to wrap this up because I want to watch the boxing tonight. I got some bets on.
Yeah, you
is-
always bet anytime there's a sporting event on.
Yeah, Logan Paul's
It's
fighting.
your least gentlemanly habit that you have.
Logan Paul's fighting, so I want to put a bet on.
Oh my
and make
god!
some money.
Did you put a bet for or against Logan Paul?
Well, the bets weren't good for him to lose. All right.
So you were like a turncoat. You were a turncoat and put money on Logan Paul to win. Gross. I can't believe you're admitting that.
I put money on Logan Paul to win by knockout or technical knockout.
Wow.
And then I put money on
my
Tommy
goodness.
Fury to beat KSI.
Dude, that's bad karma.
And if both
That's
of
bad
those,
karma.
happen as well, then I've got another bet for both of those to go on. And if all three tick off, then I've won a nice little chunk of change.
No, that's fucking bad karma, dude. Like, why you didn't even tell me you put this fucking bet? Like, he's such a Sagittarius. Like, it's just like
What do you mean?
astrology girlies will understand what I mean. Especially if they've had a Sagittarius boyfriend before.
We can't put on a cheeky bet. Look, Logan Paul's been scamming motherfuckers for fucking 10 years.
So you want to make money off of him?
Yeah. If I can make some money off of him, then why the fuck not?
You've got like Uncut Gems personality though, which is the thing. And you've got the glasses on and like he's ready. He's got
Exactly.
snacks in the fridge. Like
Yeah.
he's like gonna be here. Like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
it's like oh my god, that's really annoying.
It's going to be great. I hope I'm going to win money tonight. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. If you want to hang out in the Discord afterwards and maybe join me for the boxing, you are more than welcome to do so, because I'm going to be finding either a radio type thing or some kind of reaction to give to that. It'll be good fun.
Oh gosh. Anyway, let's get on to
fourth
this
horseman of the dystopic cyberpunk future that we're all heading towards is the death of Hollywood. And this week or recently, I don't know, days just sort of blur between each other, and I don't know
what the fuck's going on anymore. I'm just sort of on autopilot these days.
Exactly.
Like,
so like, I read it at some point,
and we also smoke a lot of weed, so things just kind of
just blur together.
Yeah,
but I read it. I do remember that I read it recently that Hollywood and the studios essentially stepped away from the conversation. That SAG-AFTRA people have obviously been negotiating with them now for what feels like at least a couple of months, if not even longer. And now it's gotten to the point, even through all of that time of discussions, that the studios have literally just gone, nah.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah.
We'll talk again at some point. And this is actually kind of exactly what I think a load of people were writing about and had predicted.
Yeah.
Was that they were going to starve out the writers and starve out
the actors and stuff.
And then they would have to be forced to take whatever fucking deal that they put down because they had no fucking work and, whatever. They don't want to live on the streets of LA anymore. So
they don't want to go to Skid Row.
And I think this is kind of like indicative of actually kind of the larger corporate approach to human work and its value. And that if they can save money by getting rid of your job for some kind of AI, they most likely will. Even if it was something as kind of like, I don't know, we always had this idea of the future where, robots would be doing all of the menial labor and it would allow us to live in these kind of luxurious, leisure-filled kind of like life styles.
I'm thinking Logan's Run outfits.
Yeah, and now it's the complete opposite way around, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like hell.
We haven't actually figured out the robotics bit, so all of the heavy labor and stuff is still largely dependent on like
manpower,
humans kind of, at least managing or controlling larger machines or whatever the fuck. It's still not
for
like,
now. Unless Boston Dynamics has something to say about it.
All of the kind of more creative, like ephemeral kind of things that you wouldn't necessarily maybe want a robot to do are actually, they turn out to be really fucking effective at getting rid of everybody's jobs in those areas. So writers, journalists, fucking even music is fucking on the cards, man. Like, I mean, it's been on a rocky foundation for the last fucking 20 years.
Oh yeah.
So like, it's good. Fuck knows what's going to happen when stuff really starts popping off. It's absolutely crazy. And then movies, like
movies.
This is and. Yeah, I can even see within certain amounts of like video games and stuff, there's going to be all sorts of ways that they're going to reduce the amount of production costs for these things. And whilst I was watching a stream the other day about someone talking about corporate culture essentially inherently bloating the cost of things, people's salaries need justifying, all sorts of crazy shit, when actually a team could be really slimmed down and whatever the fuck. I kind of appreciate that to some degree. But at the end of the day, if it's some sort of corporation where they've got shareholders and there's a way that they can look more cost efficient, they're going to do that. And it really doesn't matter. Like, if you're someone that wrote a hit show, you're someone that contributed culturally significantly, whatever. Like, if there's a way that someone else can undercut you and make money off of it without kind of stringent laws or whatever the fuck being in place, like, that is going to seriously affect things. That George R.R. Martin lawsuit is going to be one to really follow.
Oh yeah,
and pay attention.
The one we talked about a couple of weeks ago.
And pay attention to the outcome because
it's not just George; it's a bunch of other authors as well.
It's a bunch of other authors. Obviously, George is the big boy.
Yeah.
So like,
J.K. Rowling's on that list too.
George is the new big boy. Though,
You're so sexist. How sexist of you.
George is the new big boy, though, isn't he? Let's be honest. Like, Harry Potter's very popular and very big.
Well, yeah, it's on par with, it's in terms of popularity. I'm not saying in terms of quality or whatever, but in terms of popularity, I would say it's up there with Game of Thrones. It's up there with like Lord of the Rings.
It's up there with Game of Thrones, but
Yeah.
it wasn't like, I don't
Don't
feel like
be a misogynist.
Game of
Jake.
Thrones is the best, though, let's be honest.
Yeah,
It's
of course
George-
it- of course it is.
So now it's Georgie's lawsuit, okay? 'Cause he's a big fish now, all right?
All right.
Both literally and, like, metaphorically.
Swinging
Okay.
your dick around.
So
Male dominance.
The George R. R. Martin lawsuit, like, you're gonna want to pay attention to the result of that, because I feel like that's gonna really heavily dictate the capabilities of a lot of these AI machines, because it's gonna affect the information that they can be trained on.
Yeah.
And
How?
yeah.
How? Because if they can't, if they're blocked off from a lot of access to a lot of stuff, they're not going to be very good.
Yeah, but then there is also then a kind of idea of maybe it's even too late,
Or maybe.
because they've already been trained on all of those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So sorry,
it's kind
mate.
of already gone like past the point where that even matters.
Yeah.
Unless you're able to kind of delete versions
But the
and
thing
builds
is,
and stuff
people.
all the
I
way
think
back
Georgie
to...
might be, because the thing is, people don't know. A lot of people don't know this, but George is actually a science fiction writer. Like, simply because A Song of Ice and Fire is his most popular book series and the thing that got sort of developed into Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
People aren't aware of the fact that he's actually a very prolific science fiction writer. And like, you know, probably has thought a lot about artificial intelligence, as most good science fiction writers probably do. And I really wonder, I mean, I bet he probably has a hostile stance towards it, considering his, maybe he's a Butlerian jihadist like me.
Well, he wrote a lot of sci-fi books with like a hive mind kind of
Theme. And that
around
theme
it.
is even present in the Song of Ice and Fire with like the Weirwood Network and stuff, but in a more fantasy oriented way. But in his sci-fi work, like the hive mind is sort of a theme. That's correct. But I haven't really read a lot of his sci-fi work, so I can't really like give any
Definitely.
detail.
So yeah, the encroachment and, well, I guess it's not the encroachment of AI. It's kind of more of the lack of care,
Ethics.
lack of care for human beings.
Yeah.
And
Ethics.
the consequences.
I think it
of
gives you a glimpse of what this cyberpunk future is going to look like.
just like running forward with technology without the regard for like human lives.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. Just
And
this continuous process of expansion. And like, yeah, that video that you sent me from the Australian guy.
the meta crisis. It's
yeah,
this
that
guy
was what he
Daniel
said.
Schmachtenberger or something like that. I think his name is. He's like some Scandinavian fellow with a very big beard who, yeah, talks about this thing called the meta crisis, which is like the culmination of these four horsemen, essentially.
Yeah.
Of like all of these
War.
terrible things, and like what is actually propelling
Corporate,
us
like, you know,
to,
accelerationism.
what is
and-
propelling the four horsemen forward? Why are we like constantly riding them forward into this destiny of the dystopic cyberpunk future?
and also
that's
the
kind of what-
self-fulfilling prophecy of the apocalypse. Everything feels so apocalyptic right now, and every single sect has their own apocalyptic kind of idea, including the secular world with, like, you know, nuclear Armageddon and climate catastrophe.
Yeah. Do you put UFOs into the secular one as well?
Yeah, definitely, because that has its own apotheosis narrative attached to it too.
I'm on that one. I'm rooting for that one. If I'm honest, out of all the apocalypses that we could have, I feel like the UFO one's the coolest one.
Well, I think the UFO, again, I'm on the Jungian, I think it's the self archetype. It's the totality. Because I think that the major theme in all of this that we've discussed is fragmentation and division, right? And what is the disc? It's totality. It's the image of the whole. And that's what's missing, is our ability to view totality. Even the scary thing about AI is the fact that it follows these sort of narrow processes. It has an inability to perceive the totality. That's what's so dangerous about it. It's what's so dangerous about us as human beings. Our perception is so limited. We have to work really hard to even get a glimpse of the totality. We have to like take psychedelics, like meditate and like, you know, fucking pray and have divine experiences. And I think that that's kind of what
dedicate a whole work day to
yeah
making those things happen
just to
as
get
well.
a little glimpse of like the big picture, You know, we also are very narrowly focused, and that's what frightens me the most about AI is the fact that it's even more narrowly focused than us. It's even more cut off from the image of the totality than we are, and that's what the UFO thing represents to me, is like the totality coming to confront us in this like very turbulent period of history, basically, and force us to realize how little we do know. It's like an image of the bigger picture, basically, which is kind of what how Jung describes it.
So let's just do the chat quickly before we sign off.
Yes.
Sid, what the fuck? No more Blu-rays. I love physical media. I know, bro. I know. Someone's saying piracy is the future of media preservation. Well, funny you say that, because there was another funny story I read recently about piracy and preserving stuff, which was that some classic Rockstar games like Manhunt, and I think there was some Midnight Club, I think it was, had actually used piracy cracks in their installers that come from the Rockstar store.
Wow.
So they were themselves using cracks on games of their own games that they were selling on Steam and their own store.
My goodness.
So, like, you know, even the companies know that piracy is the only way to actually preserve a lot of these things, which is just fucking nuts. My PS4 is my Blu-ray player. Yeah, I mean, that has been obviously a trend kind of since even PS2 era of things, of like your console doubling as your then media device, but then as sort of consoles feel like they're kind of waning in the kind of grand scheme of things, and even I think Xbox's kind of model of the Game Pass, where you're not attached even to a console, you can access it on your PC, you can access it on your fucking phone. Like, that blows my fucking mind. That's insane. And the streaming and cloud gaming and all that kind of aspect of things. So their model is not on shifting console boxes anymore. Their model is very much on getting you subscribed to Game Pass and paying them money every fucking month, just like every other corporation at the moment. What is this XL Bully thing in the UK? Dude, we've not been talking about that. We haven't even mentioned
XL
that
Bully
this
thing.
episode.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It's just a load of bullshit,
It's just
dude.
bollocks.
Like every
It's just
fucking
like
10
fucking
years, we change
bullshit.
what fucking
Dog that
dog
we're angry
is, like,
at.
a bad dog.
These
and
are
is
the
a
problems
baby-killing
we have
dog.
in this country. We get mad at dogs, and there's always a new dog that we're mad at. But like, there had been a couple of like quite severe maulings that had happened, and I guess to an extent it is kind of like a social issue in the sense that it is kind of antisocial to have that kind of dog in like a family area. And I don't know, I don't know, we just like to bicker, I think. And we're like really bored and we like drama. That's what I think it is.
The new consumer deal breaker. Can this product be shut off remotely? Well, yeah, you never know, dude. Like, that's kind of head. Also, Jake's glasses remind me of a Brazilian podcaster. Okay.
You kind of look like you could live in South America. Like you'd be like one of those greasy, cheeky
I'm El
gringos.
Presidente,
With
and you're tuning in to Mystic and the Machine.
Amazing. But you kind of look like a greasy, like, gringo with like an exotic wife or whatever. Like, I'm your mail order exotic wife.
Did you ever watch that movie titled The Congress, about the studios buying out celebrity for AI generated media production starring Robin Wright? No, I
Ooh,
didn't.
no, I haven't. That sounds
like
fascinating.
you've just added something to my
Our watch list. What's it called? Put it in the comments.
Congress.
The Congress. Yeah, we need to watch this. Someone else in our Discord, cheeky plug, if you want to join it, you can do so by joining our Patreon. It's a great space. Yeah, someone in our Patreon have recommended it, but I haven't got round to watching it yet. Shit.
You just smashed the stream with your
Sorry,
hand, and
guys.
now I've lost the chat.
Sorry, guys.
Daniel Schmattenberger, that's his name, sounds like Terence McKenna when he speaks. He does a little bit. He sounds like a Scandi Terence McKenna that's not high. Like, and has maybe never been high. Like, I don't know. When you hear Terence McKenna speak, even when he's like not stoned, he still sounds so fucking spaced out.
I love the Scandies, and like a lot of my favorite YouTubers are Scandies as well, which is really weird. And also Denmark is giving out visas to foreign workers at the moment.
Who is?
Denmark.
Are they? Mm-hmm. Banging. I fucking love Denmark. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a wonderful country. Seeing the trees but not the forest. Exactly, J. George. Exactly, my dude.
Yeah, seeing the trees but not the fucking forest, man.
The world needs a new Midnight Club game. 100% fucking agree, dude, as well. I absolutely loved Midnight Club. That was like a blockbuster memory for me, definitely. Midnight Club 2, I feel like it was. Many weekends. But yes.
I also just want to say, before we round out, a lot of horrible shit's happening in the world. Everyone's fighting and everything. Please don't dehumanize each other. If you can at least do that, like, I know everyone has where they stand. I have where I stand on this stuff. Like, we're all entitled to our convictions at the end of the day, but try not to dehumanize people, because that's the one thing that's bummed me out this week. More than at the same level as like all the obviously the horrible images and stuff is like the amount that people are dehumanizing each other right now.
Love yourself, love your family, and try and have a good time, mate.
Yeah. See you guys later. Peace. Bye-bye.